Hello my friends and welcome back into the channel. I am so excited about today's video. I am going to finish up what was going to be my wrap bracelet from Sunlit Meadows, which was my April 26th Sparkle Bag collection. I am telling you guys, I've been working on this obviously well over a month, and I have decided to convert this from a wrap bracelet to a wrap bracelet slash necklace with an adjustable closure. So this is what I have done so far. God, this really just makes a beautiful beaded necklace. And this is a great layering piece. So I think I'm going to do an adjustable closure and convert this. So that's what we're going to do, my friends. Beginning beater and do not know how to do a sliding knot closure or a simple knotting project, this is the project for you. It does not get any easier than starting working with knotting than right here, my friends. So let me spread out my beads. So you can use any selection of beads. I am using 6 and 8 millimeter faceted rondelles in a variety of colors, as well as these beautiful little flower polymer clay yellow beads. They have a nice hole, so my 0.8 millimeter cording that I've chosen is going through these just fine. There's a seed bead that got involved. Okay. So really any beads that you want to use, you can, so long as they fit through your cording. And what I did here, friends, was I cut about a yard. And what I did, again, which I've said in previous videos I've done about knotting, is I kind of give myself the option to figure out what I'm going to do with my closure. So I give myself a generous amount before I start knotting. That's exactly what I've done here. So this is about a good 6-7 inches worth of cording right here. Okay, and then I started knotting. Let me pull you in and show you. All I've done is, again, I first just grabbed a yard of cord, about a yard, okay? And the beads I'm working with, and I started feeding them on, and I'm just doing simple overhand knots in between every single bead, okay? And there's even, like, there's one right here. If they have a little play in them, that is fine. This is a very organic, whimsy type of vibe going on here, right? And so it does not have to be exact science or perfect. All of your knots and the spacing of your beads really, truly, I think, adds to the design when it's not all the same. So that is what I have. Basically just a really random pattern. And also notice the gradient cording, right? How beautiful is that? Gradient cording on this particular design. So pretty. So let me grab one side and let's put this to the side. That's for my closure. We'll talk about that in a minute. So I'm gonna kind of leave this side alone that I have about a 6-7 inch piece here. I'm gonna go over to this side. I still have quite a bit of cording left here. And let me continue feeding on my beads, and we'll do a few of these together, and then we'll do a sliding knot closure and see what we have here. Another really important tool you want to have in your arsenal for a project, a simple knotting project, is a nice pair of knotting tweezers. So I have my knotting tweezers. So what I will do, let me pull the rest of this out of the way. So, and like I said, I just kind of been feeding on random beads, but I am putting this beautiful seafoam colored 6 millimeter in between every single bead. That is the one thing that I've done. So I've slid my bead on, and I'm just gonna go around my finger, make an overhand knot, and I'm gonna put this back on my mat to show you. I'm gonna put my tweezers through the loop so that I can grab that cord. And once I grab that cord, I am now gonna take the tail and I'm gonna pull it up. And wherever my tweezers are is where that knot is gonna stop. Now I'm gonna go ahead and remove my tweezers, put them on the other side of the knot, and push the knot down. And then we will go to the next bead. And that's what I've done throughout the whole entire project. So we'll feed on a bead, and we'll tie an overhanded knot here. And then we will go right through that loop underneath to grab that cord. And I'm gonna grab it right on top of that bead, okay? And then I'm gonna take this tail and I'm gonna pull it up and kind of snug it tight, remove my tweezers, put it on top of the knot and push it down. Okay, and I've done this, like I just said, guys, the whole thing. Now, to start it out again, if you're not sure what you want to do and reserve some options of how you're going to close off your necklace or your wrap bracelet, just go ahead and give yourself a nice working piece, right? So just like maybe measure out 6-7 inches, or just eyeball a nice good piece, and then when you feed your first bead on, just make sure you're knotting right away from a nice working piece. So you do give yourself some options for your closure. And so I'm ready to feed on another bead, which is this little seafoam, goes in between. So we'll do a couple more here and just pull that down. I'm gonna go ahead and do an overhanded knot. I'm gonna go with my tweezers through that loop and grab that cord that's on the bead, or the bead's on, right? The bead's on the cord, not the cord's on the bead. And let's pull that up. And release my tweezers and go on top of that knot and push it into place. Very, very relaxing, super simple beginning knotting project. I'm gonna do one more here, and then I'm gonna put this around my wrist. I'm gonna go ahead and measure and see if I am done. If I want this, again, to be convertible to bracelet or an adjustable closure necklace, I need to measure. So I am going to basically just grab one end, kind of put it around my wrist, hold my cording, and I'm going to bring that bead down to where it's kind of centered on the bottom of my wrist there, right? So assuming this would be my closure. So I'll kind of hold my cord here. I'm just gonna wrap around a couple of times here and see if I'm at a place where, okay, well, that was 1, 2, 3, 4 full wraps. If I stopped right here, look at that, look how lucky that is. I actually can convert this into a bracelet. So this can be both a necklace and a bracelet, because between here and here will be our sliding closure. So that the distance there is about maybe an inch and a half, inch and a half, right? And so I can stop right there. I sure can. The other thing I want to do is I kind of want to look and see, okay, if this is a necklace, how long does this lay down? Ah, wow, 30 inches. That's even better. Okay, I was off by 8 inches, but not too bad. My guess was 22, so that's 30 inches, so that is fantastic. That's a nice long necklace. Nice long necklace. So I am very, very happy with that. And there's that. So now that I know I'm done, I'm going to finish that with 2 knots there. Just 2 overhanded knots. So put my tweezers there, pull the cord, and get that pushed into place. So there's my final 2 knots on that side, and this one needs just 1 final knot. And there we go. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, my friends, is let me clear the mat, and then we're going to do our adjustable closure with another piece of cording. Okay, my friends, I am back. I've cleaned off the mat, and I have grabbed the supplies that we need to finish our sliding knot closure, which is some tape of about 10 to 12 inches I've cut of the same knotting cord. And again, this is 0.8 millimeter. nylon knotting cord. And then I also grabbed my thread burner. You could also use a lighter. And I left a few beads for some dangles. See what we'll do on the end there. So what you're going to do, friends, is we have our necklace, right? So what we want to do is, let me put this and this to the side. We want to kind of put our necklace out like this, okay? And then we want to go like this with one cord and like this with the other. And essentially all we're trying to do is just really find the center. And we have to kind of eyeball it, right? Not hard to do, friends. We do not need to measure. We don't, it's not, it's just so beginner friendly. So we don't have to be all scientific about things, right? Let's not overcomplicate. Let's just simplify it. So I have either of those ends laying directly next to each other, right? And I'm gonna just basically look that the center is about right here, but it's a sliding knot closure, right? So it's not an exact science. It doesn't have to be, right? On a slide, they're very forgiving. A sliding knot closure, it's very, very forgiving. I'm gonna grab some tape now, and I am going to tape down my cords. I'm gonna tape them right here on my beading mat. And we'll tape that one down right there, okay? And I'm gonna grab my other piece of cording, okay? I'm gonna go underneath both of these cords here, right, that we've taped down. And I'm going to find the center and marry up these ends, okay? And I am going to start with my square knots, and you can do as many as you want. Okay, so let me zoom you in, and you're right. I'm going to put my right pea shape just like that. So I have my half pea shape right there. And this cord is laying over both of those center cords. I'm gonna grab the left cord. I'm gonna go over the cord that I just laid down, and I'm gonna take and put this underneath the intersection of all three of these cords and come up right here to this loop. So under the intersection, up to the loop, and we're gonna pull. That is the first part of our square knot. We don't wanna pull too tight when we're doing a sliding knot closure. In order to complete that knot, we're going to do the left side, so the left pea shape. So the left cord goes over all of the cords. I'm gonna pick up the right cord and go under the intersection of all of those cords and come up through the loop. Pull the cord, and there we go. That completes our first square knot. And let's kind of make that look a little prettier. Squeeze that together. And that is our first square knot right there. And we'll go ahead and let's do that again. So we'll do a couple more together, and then I'll fast forward, and then we'll put some dangles on. So I did my right pea shape. It's laying over my cords. I picked up my left cord, and I go underneath that intersection and up into this loop, and we'll pull. And to complete the knot, we'll do the left pea shape. Let's lay that cord over and pick up the right cord and go, make sure that that cord is over this cord here, right? You always want to make sure that that cord is over the cord that you just laid down. So that's on top, and now we have our intersection. We're going to go underneath. Up through the loop, and then, oops, something just happened. There we go. And there we go. And that completes our second knot. If you want to count your knots, you can do that by counting the little bumps there. And we'll do it one more time together, and then I will fast forward, and then we'll finish off with some dangles. So pea shape, cord goes over, this cord goes left over right, up through the intersection, through the loop, and we'll pull. And left pea shape, cording goes over, this right over left, and then under the intersection, up through the loop, and we'll pull. And that's my third knot right there. Okay, let me go ahead and finish this up, and I'll see you back in a second. Okay, my friends, I am done. I just finished my square knots, and I wound up with 8 knots, and that's what I have right there. And if you want to be really particular about it, and you're like, oh, I want 10 knots, I want 8 knots, whatever the case might be, just count however many bumps you have, and that's a knot. So in this case, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 knots. But really, it was just what I was kind of eyeballing and looking, going, oh, I think that looks long enough. It just looks aesthetically appeasing to me. And so I'm going to go ahead and call it there. So I have to now get rid of these cords, and then we are going to do some dangles here on the cords, right, that are on the necklace. So in order to get rid of these cords, I'm going to use my thread burner. You can also use a lighter. Okay, so let's get that cord pushed in between my thread burner. I'm going to be very, very careful though when I'm working with my thread burner and all these cords. I don't want to burn the wrong cord. So I'm going to go pretty close right there, and got rid of that. Now I'm just going to put the thread burner directly next to that cord, and it will heat that up enough, and it's a little ball. It's going to form right there and kind of glue into itself. And there we go. I'm going to do that with the other cord as well. Again, I'm just working on the cord that I just did all my little sliding knots. So I'm going to put that through my thread burner. I'm going to go pretty close and first melt that away. And then I am going to go and get that heat real close to that cording, and that'll start to ball up and basically kind of glue onto itself there. It's kind of like magic. And now that is what I have. It's so beautiful on that gradient cord, isn't it, friends? I just love it. And so now what I'm going to do is I did keep a few beads out here. The cords that are these two cords right here, these are the necklace, like these two cords, right? That's our necklace or / wrap bracelet cords. And so what I'm going to want to do here is I do want to make sure that at this point it's rather even, right? So that is important. So what I'm going to do is kind of grab my sliding knot here, and I'm going to try to line up my beads and see that that is centered as good as I can get it. So let's pull that over just maybe a little smidge more. So I'm going to grab my beads there, and I'm grabbing my sliding closure and seeing that it's pretty close to even, right? And this is where I can now even up my cords. So they're almost pretty good as it is. I actually don't really need to do anything to them, but I am going to either tie some knots. So if you don't want to add any beads to dangle off of your sliding closure, do make sure that you tie a knot. So you're going to want to take each cord and tie a knot right there, right? And then this way your sliding closure does not fall off your necklace. So you could just have, like, this looks like about 3 inches. In other words, just tie an overhanded knot, right? And leave it about, midway to your cord. You can leave the rest or trim it, but you do need a knot on either side to prevent your closure from coming off. So anyway, I am going to grab, I'm actually going to do 2 beads. I love this so much. I'm going to see about doing 2 beads on either side here. And I'm just going to do the same thing I've been doing throughout this full project, which is a simple overhanded knot. and then burn off my cord. Let me get that flush cut a little bit there. Okay, so there we go. And then I'll just do overhanded knot. Put it about right there. And because this hole is a little larger, I think I need to do 2 knots there so this bead does not fall off. So I'll do a second knot here. Make sure that my bead's not gonna come off. I think I'm pretty good. And same thing, I'm just gonna go ahead, let's pull that real tight. I'll trim that and grab the thread burner. Or you could just kind of leave the tail. Either way. That's just total preference there, so you could have left your tail. There's that. And we'll do the same thing on this side. Okay, there we go. And so there's my little dangles. And we can pull and see what we have. There we go. So amazing. Just love it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's beginner-friendly tutorial on our knotted necklace with the sliding closure. This is such a vibe. I love this so much. Look how colorful that is. It's so lightweight, just stunning. But if we want to make it a wrap bracelet, we can do that too. So let's see, what did I say? It was like about 4 wraps, something like that. So 1, 2, 3, and then there's 4. So let's see, to get it on, I'm gonna have to open it up a little bit more. We have plenty of room here. That's why we didn't trim it, right? We just kind of left that. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So I should be able to get that on. There we go. And what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. And I'll grab this side and this side and kind of pull those together and tighten that up a little bit. And I can also wear this as a lovely wrap bracelet. Look at that. Oh my word. It's just stunning. So good. I need to tighten that up a little bit more. There we go. Just love that. Oh, it's so good. So good. Let me pull that so we can get that off. So that wraps 4 times, or approximately 30-inch necklace. Oh, love it. Love it. So good. And that'll slip right over the head, and then you can adjust it. And if you're wearing your hair up, how fun is that? You know, you have that dangling in the back. It's just absolutely, absolutely beautiful. I love it. I hope you guys enjoyed a fun, whimsy, sunlit meadows convertible knotted necklace. Until the next one, friends, keep sparkling and be blessed.